Everyone's trying to claim their ride access pass. It's quite funny.
Hi everyone, we're here at Alton Towers.
What day is it, Jade?
It's the 23rd of October 2024. A Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
Goodbye.
Oh, there we go. There's the scary hearse. And there's the box office. And over here is our Alton ancestors.
Here they are. No one wants to watch.
You'll look knackered. No, no, she's gonna go. There's Daz Games.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm going to do first.
Guys, we've been wanting to do this. Ben's been wanting to do this forever, and I've been wanting to do it for like a year. Or you wanted to do it for more than 2.
She's only been wanting to do it because it's the only time she's been in. Did you see, look, there's empty seats.
So, we're at Scarefest! Yay!
It's 82 minutes for Spinball Wizard. For some reason.
We're going to test out the single rider queue. So we're going to see how good single rider queue is. Was it worth closing mid-season to put in? We better be. Single rider.
It's single rider, it's only literally to there. So here's Daz Games. We've just had a ride on Spinball Wizard, single ride. How long did we wait?
Less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes.
Amazing.
It was great.
Except we was both separate and there was no one next to both of us. I know they can't put us together because of the premise of it. But
sorry, there's the entrance of Daz Games. It's going to be opening a bit. Going to go through that.
Daz Games. He's going to do Daz Games. I'm only going to.
But yeah, the issue is we're literally waiting there. There's like 2 people that go on one side, and then that's it. And bear in mind, you've got single ride, you've got fast pass there, ride access pass. It's not great. I mean, I'm not going to complain. We're going to wait like less than 5 minutes, but it's what it is. Here's where Freak Show would be. But it's not, because the only scare zone's over there. So, we're going to head down to X Sector. Whoa. Look, the towers in the distance looking all cool. Still got the music around, like a bit more theming to be fair though, but then there's the games bunker. Over there's the hole-in-one challenge, where you have to hit a ball over the pond or whatever it is. And yeah, so we're going X Sector now. Let's hope Smiler's back open, otherwise the only thing to open is Oblivion.
X Sector.
But here we are, X Sector. Looks cool.
I'll tell you.
Oh no, there's a train.
Okay. Smiler is closed,
Oh,
unfortunately. again.
The only thing that's open to Oblivion, it's on 55 minutes.
Oh dear.
Which I am not doing.
And there's no single rider queue. Towers do need to sort themselves out, in my opinion, before the Universal.
Oh, they're testing.
Testing, 1, 2, and 3. Oh, here is long wait. He's off the single rider queue for the Smiler. I get headaches on this after doing Dragon Con, so I won't be doing this one. But there he goes. On to the Smiler, single rider queue. Let's keep watching for him.
That is genuinely, that is so good. Front row, on the left.
Couldn't see you.
Did you not see me at the end? I was waving right at the end.
Well, everyone looks like you from all the way over there.
No, genuinely it's amazing. Last little bit's a bit rough, especially that's like the corkscrew bit. Apart from that, you'd love it, Jade. That's all I'm saying. Dangerous. The sound of a bin is dangerous.
Are we near burial ground?
No, it's all the way up. Mutiny Bay.
Going towards Forbidden Valley.
Oh, it looks busy. It looks busy. It looks busy. But there's no one going in.
What's wrong with that?
Don't know. Should we go 13?
Yeah.
We'll go 13, single ride 13.
Thank goodness.
Well.
Single riding.
And then Trick or Treat and Amigos is down there.
I was gonna maybe buy Trick or Treat time.
No, you don't want it. It's just a bag of Haribo.
No, you get a whole bag.
Yeah, no.
A big one.
It's not worth it, but I know it. That's theme park, Dad. Your one chicken nugget chips. And here's the Dark Forest. Do you want the nugget and chips? I do.
He's giving it for Seagull.
How dare he waste food like that?
Yeah. Want a drink when we get in the queue.
Shame Rita. Oh, Rita doesn't have single rider, does it?
Welcome to Dark Forest. Ooh. Get that sign, yeah. Go Banner. Go.
Originally Ugland from 2000 to, no, not 2000, 1999 to 2010. And then obviously rethemed to the Dark Forest. And there's Rita. Absolutely painful. We'll give you scratches. smells like Pringles. Everyone's getting their portion of
That's where
chips.
I'm getting my chips and nuggies, that is.
Oh, sorry guys. That's Jacob. She's getting it later. There she is. So we make our way down the forest. There's Rita's entrance. Or Furious Bacco. And here we are at 13. Single rider for us today.
He's still a 13 out of 10.
How was your ride?
Brilliant.
I had a lovely single mum.
I had help.
Who was absolutely petrified, even though she's only about to go in the times. Nah, but it was great.
Did you give her some confidence?
No, she was saying, like, it's all fine. It's when you get to the drop, 'cause apparently she, according to her, she digged the hell into her son's leg the last time she went on it.
Oh, no.
I was there, not just sitting like all crossed. Like,
Your leg to yourself.
yeah. No, but great ride. Let's go see what else we can do.
Yeah.
Oh, Jade. Oh, it only opens at 5. Oh, it looks lengthy. It looks lengthy. Floor. So.
I didn't feel bad, it was just awkward though.
It said on the sign though, to be fair. The Wicker Man. Go on, Jade, give us your best yawning.
Pardon?
Give us your best yawning.
What's that? The Wicker Man does not approve of your modern technologies. Go on, do you?
The Wicker Man does not approve of your modern technology. Look, she's all... I can't do it. She's all there. Does not approve. Modern technology. There he is, Big Bob. Hi, Big Bob.
Oh, that's a brilliant shot.
She wants that Wicker Man approval. Can't see you, but
the Wicker Man.
It's about to go dark.
Welcome, chosen few. We are the beyond. For hundreds hundreds of years our family has lived in these woods, led by the spirit of the Wicker Man. The elders told us of a day when he would rise to give us freedom and eternal well-being. But to start that ritual, we must present him with a gift. And that gift is you. You and the flames. It is time.
Spells.
He is here. What an honor to see yourself bound in wicker, encased in his soul. Can you see yourself in him? Time has come for the Wicker Man to rise. Together, we shall feed the flame. Let the ceremony commence.
Where are we off to now, Jade?
We're going to the Runaway Mine Train. Choo choo.
Just had a ride on Wicker Man. It was good. I'd personally say the most underwhelming ride I've had on it though. Like the end bit was either we came into it too quick or the operations were taking too long, but I thought it was underwhelming.
I feel the same, but I do enjoy Wicker Man. I'm thinking maybe Smiler. In terms of rides, scare mazes, definitely Compound. Not convinced on the attic yet.
Yeah,
that's my update.
We're not far from a scare maze. We've got about an hour, so we're about 2 o'clock here. At least they're open now, but my time's not till 3, so we'll wait until then. But now we're going to go to Katanga Canyon.
No, we're not.
Here we are.
We're doing the Runaway Mine Train.
In Katanga Canyon.
Oh, that is Mutiny Bay.
No, it's Katanga Canyon.
What? More.
Walkers. Okay.
Katanga Canyon.
Katanga Canyon.
Oh, there is a crazy
Katanga Canyon. Look how nice it looks. Looks great. Is it better than China? She doesn't like China. She doesn't like Shambhala's area. That's okay. She doesn't like it. It's closed. And there we are. We're going on the Runaway Mine Train. What's that? Who's over there? There's no one over there. I don't want to go. So I'm just there.
What is it?
I think it's meant to represent something from the side of the ride.
Oh, we see the friends, the 7. Ben has just done Daz Games Panic Reloaded, and now he's going to do the attic.
Hello there. You may be wondering what is happening with the vlog here and why we've cut to me. So I'm currently filming this as of the 25th of October, so 2 days after when we visited Alton Towers for Scarefest. I'm recording this part of the video as kind of like a follow-up to what you've been watching essentially. So obviously the last bit you saw was myself going into the attic, terror off the towers, sorry. And at that point the footage pretty much stopped from there. We essentially carried on the rest of the day, got a bit shy with filming, and obviously with the nature of the sky going darker, nature of the weather going a bit less, you know what I mean, it's a bit harder to see. There wasn't as much to record, and like I said, we got pretty much into the day, and at that point time had eluded us, and it only really got to the end where we realised we'd stopped filming everything. So what I thought I'd do very quickly is just quickly go through what other attractions that we experienced. I'm going to do a quick section going over the scare mazes that I experienced at Alton Towers Scarefest, my run-throughs and my personal reviews, and then obviously a bit more detailing what I thought of the overall event. But just quickly, just some of the attractions that we did do following the attic tearing the towers. We had a ride on Hex. That is my first ever go on it. I thought it was quite a good idea, nice little story. I know it's not a thrill ride. I was kind of expecting a little bit more, but as somebody who hasn't been in it before, I think it's, you know, a decent little thing, and it's just a nice little option to have for Alton Towers if you go in there before. But I wouldn't recommend, if you really ride it once a season, that's what you need for it. I then had a second ride on the Smiler by myself. I had a back row ride, and it was a little bit more rough this time, but nowhere near as bad as I think it's been made out to be. So I had two great rides on the Smiler there, and I thought it was quite enjoyable there. We then made our way, so from that point on, we then went and did Burial Grounds, and then obviously I went and done Compound. So by that point it was about 20 to 7 in the evening. We then went and did Galactica. That was only on a 10-minute queue, however we ended up waiting a little bit longer because somebody had dropped something on the ride, resulting to which we never got off the ride until about 20 past 7. Then at that point, I wanted to do Nemesis. The queue was still on about 65-70 minutes. 13 was on 5 minutes, so I was like, okay, we'll go do 13. Hopefully we should get through that in time, and then we'll go on to Nemesis if we have time, just wait it out there. So I went and did 13, that only took 5 minutes, that was a back row ride. But unfortunately, it got to, by the time we got off the ride, it was at 10 to 8, sorry. So we just had no time, we was never going to cover that ground to make Nemesis, and it was still on a 65-minute queue. So I'm absolutely good. I never got a ride on that in the end. So we ended our night on the Wicker Man, waited about 35 minutes after queue closing times at 8 p.m. However, it was a superb ride, completely in the dark. We had the last train of the day, back row, first back row ride on it. We even had a staff member come on as well, and it was absolutely superb. So that kind of made up for it. It's just a shame I never got a ride on Nemesis Reborn to kind of encapsulate you know, the 3 trips that we've had this year to Alton Towers. And overall, quite a good night at Scarefest for Alton Towers. But, you know, I can't really complain. I had some great rides, some great experiences, and overall I experienced 11 attractions and 8 unique ones indeed. So that was pretty much my time there. So I'll go through it one more time. So I started with Spinball Whizzer, then the Smiler, 13, Wicker Man, Runaway Mine Train, Curse at Alton Manor, Hex, a re-ride on the Smiler, Galactica, a re-ride on 13, and a re-ride on Wicker Man to end the day. No Rita. I'm not particularly a big fan of it. I think it's too short, and also the launch can be a little bit painful. The last time I came off it, I had bloody scratches on both my shoulders because of how tight the restraints are, so I wasn't too fussed if I'd missed that. And then, like I said, Nemesis for the whole day was on 85 minutes, but that's something that I want to talk about in a little bit. So that was pretty much rides, but now the bit I want to talk about is obviously the scare mazes, the real highlight to Scarefest and the real reason to go and buy your tickets. So I'm going to have a quick run through of my run throughs through the 4 mazes and Scare Zone and give you my thoughts and experiences on the attractions there. Okay, so I experienced Scarefest this year having done all 5 of the attractions that were mainly aimed towards adults and more mature audiences. It is worth knowing we didn't do Amigos in the Afterlife and Trick or Treat Town. My partner did want to do them in the end. That's for a story that I won't share, as that is between us. But essentially, one of us did not get to experience any of the attractions during the night. However, that is something we're going to turn around next year and something that we're going to look to do even better, hopefully next year. But I only did the attractions myself, and I thought there was a mixed bag of attractions on the night that we experienced. I've seen all over YouTube, you see it, whoever is watching, you see it all over YouTube, the opinions that you get. Some people absolutely praise the event, some people have said it's one of the worst Scarefests of the year, and I would preface this with saying
I think this is one of those events where you have to try it for yourself and have your own opinion on it. It's easy to say this, excuse me, it's easy to say this as somebody, you know, if you're like these theme park channels, you've been to multiple Scarefests, multiple scare events, you've had these opportunities, and for the most part, and the most general audience of Alton Towers and theme parks in general, these are types of customers that only come to these events once. And bear in mind, you can only really buy one-shot tickets around these mazes. You're only going to experience them once anyway. I think it's one of those things, you have to go in it with your own opinion. You have to experience it yourself, and ultimately, it's what you enjoy. Don't be influenced by what others say. Go in there, have your own experience, and then you can decide what you make of it. And that's what I did. However, I do agree on some of the points that have been raised by other people when going for these mazes. So starting off then, I went in order with what I thought was going to be the least scary / least value for money attraction to the best. Obviously, spoilers already, I finished on Compound. But I'm going to go through what we started with, and that was, Daz Games Panic Reloaded. So this is a maze that was introduced last year, I believe, just simply called Daz Games Panic. It's obviously been brought back this year. I believe it was due to popular demand, even though the kind of general feedback was that it was quite a weak attraction. I started with this one because I believed it was going to be the least scariest, and I think I was proven to be right. Essentially, all that this maze is, the famous YouTuber Daz Games, he plays a lot of horror games. He's essentially been partnering up with Alton Towers, and he's wanting to create this ultimate attraction experience for the audience to try and see how they deal with the fear of being in intense food challenges. To put it through the context of what I've learned from the story, players will be given a wristband and face a 10 series of tests to challenge the mind and body as they compete to find 2 unique symbols and exit within 7 minutes. However, they will not be alone inside, as Daz AI technology has been corrupted and taken over the maze. If players don't make it out in time, they'll be trapped in the game forever. So essentially what this all is where the conference tent is, right next to Spinball Wizard. That is where this maze is held. Essentially you queue up, you get told, okay, you got to wear like a wristband. You'll get to scan it. It will give you 2 symbols. You'll put your name in, or unique name that you want to see to represent yourself. You get given 2 symbols that you've got to find in this maze. Some of them will have some challenges, so you may have to go and find a symbol. I know when I was in there was one for the Oblivion symbol, and you had to go find it elsewhere in the maze. You have to press a button maybe to get your symbol. But essentially, once you find your symbol, you tap on it with your wristband, you go and look for your next one. Once you've tapped on that, you get out in the maze. It's essentially, you've got to get through it as quick as you can, boss, finding your symbols. It's all about a timed experience. From that point on, you go through, essentially, once you've done that introduction bit, you go through into a shipping container for a little pre-section there. There's about 30 to 40 of you. Quite a bit bulky bit to the bit where I think that a lot of us were confused what was happening. On the TVs, Daz Games there, he's basically introducing the maze, being like, oh, we've introduced some AI into it. It's unfortunately become infected with this virus. We're now trying to put this antivirus in. To which, in the middle of the shipping container, there's this little cage which clearly leads on from the maze. But you've got scare actors whenever, say, Daz Games was having a little interruption in his feed. These scare actors will come in, bash on the cages, and they were creating some good little scares there. At that point then, the lights go off. You're then essentially guided into the maze. So there's doors on either side of the shipping containers into the maze. You can see the actors there. They're not doing anything. They've just got signs with arrows telling you to go. Essentially, we all fiddled through, huddled into the middle portion of the maze. Brief little flash of lights, and then obviously the all scare actors move out the way. They're starting to scare people straight away. But literally at that point for me, it was just a case of, right, here we go, I need to go and find my symbols. Literally all it is, Harris fencing, you're running around, well, I wasn't running, but I was walking very fast around this maze. You've got scare actors here or there, some of them dressed up in like this neon clothing. There's like some of them that look like old grandmas with like the eyes decayed out. And yeah, but for me, the most part is, all I was doing was running around finding the symbols. I think for me, because I'd never done a scare attraction before, and bear in mind this was my first ever one, I think I was scaring myself more rather than being scared by the actors. I remember walking through at one point and there was literally an old granny come up to me and be like, oh, what symbol are you looking for? I go, everything. And she's like, that's not helpful. And I'm like, it's not meant to be. that for me is not scary. I was even walking behind one of the actors for like a good 30 seconds whilst I was trying to find my symbol. Turns around, doesn't even pay attention to scare me, you know. I felt like I was having to go to the actors to get scared rather than being scared from them. But I found my first symbol at the back of the room. I had to put it through a little hole, but I did it very quickly while still looking behind me. As soon as that happened, I quickly changed to like, right, I've got to go find this other symbol, which was a star. Went and go found that relatively in quick time, then immediately made my way for the exit, scanned on that. And there's just a normal guy there who's just guiding up, like, yep, just tap on the thing and out you go, and it's like, that kind of kills the immersion. You go out of the tent and that's literally it. You can see your times on the screen. I think I had about 3 minutes 30 on the clock, which wasn't a bad time, I didn't think, to be fair. I've even got photos of it, and it'll also show up like with the high scores from today, this week, and all time. I believe all time is like 16 seconds or something. So I've seen it on Twitter, fair play to whoever that is. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It definitely is the weakest maze. The lack of theming, the lack of really feeling like I'm scared in there. And then also for me, the biggest problem is the time maze. You're only in there for 7 minutes, so you're gonna get taken out anyway. But obviously, if there's people completing it in 16 seconds, you know, I want to feel scared from the minute I go in. You know, I don't want to, you know, do it in 16 seconds just because of a timed event. I've seen people say that it's kind of good for like a summer event, maybe, like an upcharge there. And I don't think that would be too bad. I would just argue it needs to be a little bit longer. Obviously the theming needs to be a lot better if it's going to stay again. But also offering something that's going to immediately scare me, because really of all of them, it's not that scary. And again, my main focus was trying to find the symbols rather than trying to find the scares, because it just wasn't going to get it from there. But I like the idea. I think the concept isn't a bad one. And like I said, if it was something for the summer, give it an upcharge of like 5-6 quid maybe. I think you'd have a real good winner there, and something that kills a little bit of time as well. But overall, I thought it was quite weak, and clearly it showed in, you know, the order I did it in. It was something that I wasn't particularly excited for. Again, I like the idea. I think it's a unique aspect to it, and something a little bit different taken by the Escape Maze. But it just doesn't really feel like it, you know, belongs in the Scare Maze lineup for Scarefest this year. So not a bad attraction, just something that could have been a little bit better going forward, if it is going to go forward. Next then, I did Alton Towers is the Attic Terror of the Towers. This is a maze that's been around since 2002. It's had many iterations, from a Bloodfest banquet, what lies within like vampires and coffin monsters, to the most recent iteration as of 2019. Was there 2017, had away 2018, came back in 2019 as the Attic Terror of the Towers. I don't really particularly understand the story with this one, so I'm going to read it from what is being listed here. Telling the story of the governess whose ghost, according to local legend, continues to attempt to avenge the death of her charges by taking the spirits of the living as penance. This scare maze is set across the ground and first floors of the tower's ruins, featuring drawing room, long gallery, and family dining room. Yeah, essentially, I think the story was there was like some kind of old woman maker, toy maker, who unfortunately passed away, but a spirit managed to haunt along into the tower ruins and would avenge everybody that anyone who came here. I didn't think it was a very clearly communicated story. All I knew going into this maze was that there was some sort of devilish thing at the end of the attraction, and that was for me the point that I wanted to see about it. But I think the real main attraction to this one is obviously you're going through the tower's ruins. So literally you come on in, you get obviously an actor briefing. There was about a group of 8 or 9 of us, where, you know, you're on the ground stairs floor. There's this kind of old book teller type of character narrating the story for the maze, being like, oh, people that have gone through have never lived to tell the tale or lived to see it through. Will you be the ones to find out what's happened up there? And he's doing some little effects. You pretty much go through a bookcase there, up a few flights of stairs, and that's literally where it starts. Some really enclosed spaces, lots of sheetings and coverings to really kind of mask your age, trying to fade through. You're pretty much going through loads of bedrooms, loads of kitchens, almost like this little house that's been made in the attic, housing these creatures. But it's not really creatures, it's all these old dilapidated human beings. They kind of got masks on, they're all dressed, they all look medieval. There's some really good scares in there. The group I was with, so there's obviously 8 of us. I'm on my own, bear in mind, so I'm with, there's 2 people in front of us, in front of me, I'm with them, and then the 4 people, because they were so slow and also getting scared very well, essentially we ended up splitting up, so it was just us 3 for a good point. And then eventually this group of 4 would catch up to us towards the end. Now, scare-wise, there was some good scares in terms of myself, really, because I'm literally behind these lot. The people in front are getting scared. I'm getting like the occasional like coming up to you, getting grabbed and potentially like touched upon, but not enough in the same aspect of like I'm feeling included in the group. You know, there's some good theming elements in there, but for me the biggest problem was just the lack of a story. It doesn't really feel communicated across, or like if I could gather it on my own, like I'd have to take another go at it to really understand the story, because it doesn't really come across as well what is actually meant to be happening within this maze. And then, you know, you're going through it, you're going through the scenes, you're still going through those tight spaces, and then obviously we get to that end bit where the rooms start getting a lot warmer. I believe this is meant to represent the fire pit where this demon is. Literally, this was the experience with it. Get to that section where the demon is, pops out, all I see is a shadow of it, because again they've only scared the people in front of us, goes away, and that's the only bit of it we see. You go straight through, a few steps down, and then you're back into the thing. It felt underwhelming of an attraction. Like scare wise, it wasn't massively that impactful. Yeah, there's a few good jump scares, but when you think about it, I can see you coming, I already know what's going to happen. And bear in mind, when I'm behind a group of people, it's not really something that's going to really stand out and attract me. It was fine. Literally, for me though, the summary was, when we came out and back to the entrance where the person managing the queue line was, literally the person in front of us, the dad of the group, he went over and complained and said it was shocking. And even the guy there, obviously he's paid by Alton Towers as their employee, so you're not going to badmouth your own company, but even he could sit there and was like, yeah, it could be better, couldn't it? For me, I don't want to say it's a bad maze, because it's not. You know, it's a nice attraction to go through the Towers ruins and actually see what it's like. But I think really it's just the lack of a story that really killed it for me. I don't mind the actors in there, because I think there was plenty enough going on in there to see and feel experienced in that sense. There was like 3 actors in one scene that were really going for it, to be fair to them. But the issue was, you know, once they'd done the scare to the people in front, they're not going to do it again. They're just going to wait for the others. The issue is just the story. I just don't really understand what it's meant to be. I don't really get it. And from what I hear and other people say, it's been around for 5 years. Maybe it's time to see something refreshed up, and maybe see something a little bit more unique. I don't know if people have seen it, but like the film Winchester, that's something that I think would really work in there. Just a real ghost story, real paranormal, because that's what it lends itself to. You've got this creepy, dilapidated, ancient towers, you know, history on your property. A real ghost story would work so much better in there, rather than this whatever demons and stuff rubbish, because it's not really immersive, and it's just a bit too confusing when you're trying to build up on this lore. Simple ghost story, I think it would work really well, and it'd be a really good attraction, yeah. But in terms of all, I don't think it was that too bad. It wasn't massively scary, but again, it matched the order and reflection of, we went from the least scariest to the scariest there with the attic terror of the towers. So after a bit of a break, I went and did Altonville Mine Tours Tiny's Revenge. I believe this one's been here since 2016. It had a bit of a change in the storyline a few years back, I couldn't tell you exactly. But essentially is My Bloody Valentine meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You've got these... it's meant to be cannibals, but they're wearing gas masks and they look like just general mine workers. And essentially the story that I could gather from this one was... basically 5 teenagers had gone in there for a funky good time. They ended up getting lost. The sheriff believes they fell down a mine shaft, and there is just a sense of cannibalism within there from previous years. Let's see what it says his story was. Rumours are afoot that the old Altonville mines are alive with activity once again. Following a breakthrough from local law enforcers, the notorious skin snatchers have been detained. However, the ironically named Tiny has evaded capture and is believed to still be residing within the mines. So that's what it essentially is. You're going through these mines to try and see if you can locate these teenagers, whilst also trying to avoid the skin snatchers. It's a bit of an entendre in the sense of, I've got mine shaft workers wearing, you know, gas masks, they're wearing their overalls, they've got these axes, and yet they're communicating to me, I want to take your skin, I want to wear it for myself. And it's like, it doesn't really make sense, because you wouldn't be like that. You'd just be, you know, you either want to kill me or you want to wear my skin, so you're a cannibal, whatever. That bit was a little bit confusing. However, for me, this was probably, in terms of scares, the scariest attraction that I experienced on the night. Genuinely, you're going through some really enclosed spaces. It's underneath the tower's ruins, so you really do feel like you're going through the mines. And then there's some great scenes in there. And for me, the best bit, I was at the back of the room. You head through this small corridor, and you've got all the mine workers' costumes laid on the sides, and it's like a strobe maze, so you know there's something there. But obviously it's time, so you just don't know. And there obviously was someone on the wall. I got a good scare, and I was pretty much jumping after that point. But for the most part, you're walking through the mines. You've got obviously the dilapidated shafts. For the most part, it's like the old office stations. And there's some really good scares, some really good interactions from the mine shaft workers with the axes. I'm at the back of the room. I've got them following me all the way as we go into the next scene. You know, I'm goading them with a weapon. Like, go on, hit me with the weapon. And he's like, I'm going to wear you. I'm going to wear you. And I thought that was a really good, nice bit of you know, interaction there from the scene. You can tell everybody in the maze was scared. You're going through the almost what like clearly looks like the, you know, HQ for all these hillbillies. They're found their hideouts. You've got these glass jars with stuff in it, like skin and body parts. That was quite good. And then we get to the ending, which I felt was a little bit rushed. So we get through to this room. There's like another sheriff there with an air rifle shooting, like, oh, you need to get out. But he was a little bit quiet, couldn't really tell what he's saying. Walked on out. And then this is another issue with the groups that we were in. I think we were in a group of 9 again. Because everyone else had run forward off into the end of the maze. How it ends is there's essentially Tiny's there with this chainsaw. Obviously, he's chased the people out to the front to the actual exit, whilst there's still like 3 or 4 of us coming out of the maze, and he's just standing there with the chainsaw, just going to the point where I'm just walking through, just like not affected, not feeling scared by that bit. And bear in mind, the maze is called Tiny's Revenge, and from what I've seen, that's meant to be Tiny. That's meant to be the thing I'm meant to be scared of, and I don't really feel like I was scared. So I thought the ending was completely underwhelming. For what is actually a really well-themed maze, it's really nice and claustrophobic in there. Really scary. Like I said, when you're that tied together within the room, and obviously it's so dimly lit at times, you're going to be crawling down shafts. You're going to be going through like body bags and really feeling like you're walking over dead bodies. It's a really well done maze for what it is. I would just argue, and I kind of agree with what everyone else says in 2 respects. One, it kind of did have a lack of actors at times. I just feel like, whilst I've got some good scares, there's also parts where I'm walking through and you know there should be more actors in there, and there just isn't. And then also just the interaction from, I want a bit more from, like, I actually want to feel like I'm being grabbed. That's something I never really experienced at all with these last 3 mazes. And then secondly, that ending just needs a bit of work on it. It just doesn't really feel as impactful as it could be, and it doesn't really offer me, you know, a reason to run out the maze. You know, yeah, you've got a chainsaw, but I know it's not real, and if you're not going to make the effort to properly gun me down for it, I'm not going to feel scared. But overall, it's a really nice maze, a really well-themed one. If I'd have to say, you know, one maze 2 experience, definitely give Altonville Mine Tours a go. It's definitely going to be the scarier ones, and that's something that I really think, you know, if it's going to stay again, fine. Just get a few more actors in there, put a bit more emphasis on an ending, and I think you do really well there. But that's Altonville Mine Tours, and that was a good scary maze for me. Now at this point, I also did do Burial Ground, so again we took another break. I say I did it. I'm not going to explain what happened on the partner, but essentially I ended up going through the scare zone on my own, and I really liked it. It's some nice theming. I thought at first it was a little bit slow, like the parts we were going through, there was like 1 or 2 actors. It's only when you get further into it that there actually is more actors. I just think that's starting point. You could have got about like a third of the way through it and would have noticed it. But essentially all that Burial Grounds is, it's just a bit of a loose tie on the Wicker Man story. Rather, this is just more so just these people that are obviously connected to the Bjorn. But yeah, they've got machetes, crowbars, axes. They want to kill you. Yeah, it doesn't kind of tie with the Wicker Man story, but it's meant to be just essentially a follow-up to it. Some really good scenes, especially when you do it at the dusk time, because obviously it only opens at 5, or at least that's when it opened for us and going. You know, you've got the fire going off at the side. There's some really nice fire trails, and just the general scenery alongside the Wicker Man itself. It works hand in hand. There's a great scene where you know, you go through again another small little passageway through this little wooden structure, and the last section is like this dark, dingy, foggy little open space. There wasn't an actor in there, but you know that's the purpose. To which point I was there like closed my eyes because I'm like, there's got to be someone in there. Unfortunately, there wasn't. That's where I think the actor would have been perfect. There, you wouldn't get so many scares in there. But you just go through, and it's just essentially just a nice little tie into the Wicker Man story. It's a free experience. That's something I definitely do recommend. And something that ultimately we learned during our Scarefest. If you are afraid, or potentially going to be afraid of going to the mazes and want to get a sample of what it's going to be like, do the free scare zone. Do anything free that is offered there. Because like I said, for us, had we not done the burial grounds experience, my partner would have wasted £12 on a scare run, one-shot run through compound, and would have ultimately, you know, could have been coming out of the maze very early. So thankfully, we did do burial grounds, and we were able to get a taste of what it's like. But yeah, do burial grounds. It's a free attraction. You're gonna absolutely love it. And it's just like I said, it gives you a nice little sample of what's to experience to help upsell those tickets for obviously the mazes, but also in yourself knowing that you get to go and experience that. So that was a big thumbs up from me. Lastly then, the final attraction, the one that I've been most looking forward to, I think a lot of people have been looking forward to for Scarefest and for a while, is Compound, the brand new maze for 2024. This is a connection to the Nemesis and the Phalanx storyline, where essentially it's a Phalanx testing zone, kind of similar to what Subspecies was a few years ago, if you've ever been on through that, where essentially you're led through hallways by the Phalanx. It's like their undercover laboratory, and you've just got to try and escape and avoid being a part of their experimentation. Well, what can we say from it? So firstly, the exterior, I know it's disappointing, everyone's all moaning about the exterior, but again, the maze doesn't take part outside, it takes part inside this massive shipping container. So I don't really see what people are moaning about. You know, it's the same with the other mazes. The only one that's got the real good theming is the Ormville Mine Tours, because you go through a little section, almost like a dilapidated, abandoned roadway to go into it. But this one, essentially, you go through to the side, a Phalanx guard comes down from the alleyway around the base, tells you to follow him. You go around to essentially the top entrance, and at this point, this is where the maze really started getting good for me, for where I felt I got my money's worth. Phalanx guard, literally, he's dragged me in, he's told me to go into one of the cells. We're in a group of 7, so it's just me plus a family of 6 Scottish family. So I end up joining this one of these people from the Scottish group. So you're all in this like futuristic pod, cell pod. In the middle, they're obviously playing the trailer that you would have seen from the head of the Phalanx research, talking about what's going to be happening, what you are going to be subjected to. At that point, the lights go red, the doors behind you in the pod open. So at that point, you go on through. You're walking through for a little bit, and there is a guy just literally, I think it's a Phalanx guard, he's literally there trying to get you pumped up. He's getting you to do pull-ups. He got one of us to do some pull-ups on the bar. One of the things I want to note is when in that scene, there is a literal gym bench, and it's got UFC on it. I don't know if that's... I even pointed out, I said to him, is that a UFC bench? And he never answered me. That's something that, you know, come on, you can spray paint it, put some tape on it, cover that up. Because if I notice that, you know other people are going to notice it. And I think that's a bit of a cheap, tacky way to go through that. Anyway, go through there, the guy comes back out through the next little section, scare there, and it's at this point, again, that's where it gets even more intense. And you may have heard, obviously, you might get split up in the maze. This, for me, is where I got split up from pretty much everybody, and had my own experience. So, you get to like a honeycomb maze. It's like a bright pitch, white pitch room, with like glass tubes in the middle, almost like these experiments in these glass tubes. 2 or 3 Phalanx guards in there. They're literally putting hands on shoulders and guiding you around this honeycomb maze. I had one, he sent me all the way around it, let me walk for like a few seconds, came back around, told me to go another way, and he made me go through a complete section on my own. I'm going through there, I've got 1 or 2 Phalanx guards scaring me through the cells. I'm literally jumping, trying to make my way through these cell blocks, trying to make sure I know which way I'm going. Come up to these cages, and again, the other group is there again, they're on the other side of this cage, I'm on my own, and there's 2 or 3 Phalanx guards there, they're like bashing on the cage, they go to me, "Are you infected?" I go, "Maybe." He's like, "Maybe? maybe, get on out. It drags me through the cell, pins me against the wall. He's like, hands up, spread them legs, do not turn around. Makes me face the wall for a good minute or two. I thought, Jesus Christ, this is bloody getting intense here. Literally comes up to my shoulder, he's like, I'm going to ask you again, are you infected? I go, no. He's making me shout it louder and louder and louder till I'm practically screaming it. He's like, grabbing me, he's like, you know what, go this way. And at this point, he drags me off, so again, I'm on my own again, and this is pretty much the only time I was, you know, I didn't get to see anybody else at this point. He drags me off to the left, which is a crawl section. So I go through this crawl section. I can see on the right of me in this tunnel there's obviously another little bit of a pathway to which I'm expecting someone else to jump out from there. The guy behind me at the entrance of the tunnel is banging with his little crowbar. I go through the tunnel as quick as I can because I don't want to stay and get scared in the tunnel because I think I really would have shat myself then. Go through the tunnel, get to the other side, and get to this kind of cool little section I thought, which is kind of like a little water base section. You got these like small wooden water drums. You go over this little bridge. There's a smaller phalanx god at the other end. I can see him. I'm like, I see you. I can see you. Go past him. Go over this little bridge. Through the little section there. There's like ropes hanging down from the ceiling. They're trying to, you know, confuse you with like stuff there. Go through a few more rooms, and that's that point. I think I either get to the kitchen or lab. I haven't decided on what it is because I can't particularly remember it because the strobing was bloody brilliant. But that is where I found the phalanx alien. He looked bloody scary. He was getting all up in my face, all shoulders. It looked like the Nemesis creature from Resident Evil 3. But he was really good. I immediately got through there because I was like, I'm not staying any longer to look at this alien. Got through that section there, came out, and then at that point, it's strobe light again. But this time I got the phalanx god with tasers. They're going up to you trying to ram it. I'm like, no, pass through. Literally, I'm about to get to the end. Guy grabs me on the back, pulls me back with the taser, sends me back through the curtain, and that is the end of the maze. That we survive compound. To which I meet up with the rest of the guys, so they must have come up before me. Definitely worth the experience there. Obviously, I know not everyone's going to have that same experience. I've learned it's actually, you know, multi-directional. It clearly was, by the way that I went. You know, that is definitely one of those attractions that you've got to experience multiple times to get a bunch of routes. But apparently, a lot of people do end up seeing those new scenes when you do go through multiple times. So that is a big plus for me. I loved the intensity of it. I like the idea as well. It doesn't have to be all about these monsters and all these ghouly-goos being the main source of scares. Just the general phalanx security guards and the general atmosphere that it's creating. That's what's really scary. And also that physical interaction. Grabbing me, pushing me, guiding me on my own. You know, it was superb. I really loved some of the theming that was in there. I would say the only issue that I did have with it, I would have liked to see a little bit more of a story element that actually tied into Nemesis. Like, I get it's a secret facility that's housing some of these, you know, obviously creatures in the next phase in the Phalanx research facility. But I'd also like to just see a bit more follow-up on that. And then also just some actors. There was generally a lack of actors towards the ender portions. I'd like to have seen more of the Nemesis creatures. They could have had more of them dotted around the maze as opposed from the laboratory bit. But overall I thought it was a really superb experience, something that definitely needs to be tried. And that was definitely my highlight, definitely the best maze that I'd done on the night and the best attraction that I'd done on the day. In terms of the overall theme, the story and some good scares. But like I said, in terms of scariness, I would definitely say Mime Tours because I think it just naturally lends itself to it and something that would naturally feel a lot better in that respect. But overall, what a great experience Compound was, and definitely worth the £12 that I paid for it on that day. So with all this in mind, that wrapped up my and my partner's experience at Scarefest 2024 Alton Towers. And we had a really good day. We had a few gripes of our own. Obviously, from my partner's perspective, she didn't get to experience any of these scare attractions. But that was something that I kind of knew going into it. It's just unfortunately, if we'd done the timings a little bit better, then she could have at least experienced, say, Amigas in the Afterlife, Trick or Treat Town. But that is for me and her to share, because that is a you know, something that we don't want to kind of address on it as it's a private story. In terms for me, the only issue I really had with the event was just two things really. Firstly, the time for Nemesis Reborn. I really wanted to ride on it. I've loved going on it this year. I've been to the park 3 times in total. I've got a Nemesis 3D art right there. I'm wearing a Nemesis shirt that I bought the other day. I absolutely love the ride, and it's just a shame I never got to experience it at night. Apparently running one train, the operations we'd heard had been poor for quite a few days this Scarefest, and luckily it wasn't actually too bad today. Like I said, it's just the one thing that really let me down, really bummed me out. I can't complain with the ride that we had on Wicker Man in the end, because it was absolutely superb, but it just would have been nice to really round off the day and potential last trip to Alton Towers for the season with a ride on Nemesis Reborn. But I've been on it 4 times this year. I can't really complain. It's just very thankful that we even got to experience this at all. The second thing I would want to complain about is the pricing. For me, £34 is what I paid. So I paid for the combi ticket, which gives you one-shot access to all 4 of the thrill mazes. I believe it's 25 for the Spooks duo, but correct me if you're wrong. Obviously, you can buy one-shots for the mazes, which are £12. For me, it is way overpriced. It should be at minimum, well, maximum £24. £6 a maze, especially with something like Daz Games, which is genuinely being conceived as one of the weakest mazes, if not possibly one of the worst mazes that Alton Towers has offered at Alton Towers Scarefest. It's stuff like that. You're offering 2 mazes that, whilst they may be good, they've been there for so many years, so they haven't massively changed. And the only real new offering is your compound attraction, which, you know, has been getting a bit of a mixed reception, admittedly, from people. It needs to be cheaper, and I'd like to think next year it's not going to get cheaper, obviously, unfortunately. That's just the way the world works. But it'd just be nicer to see, hopefully, a refresh. Keep Compound for next year, because it's definitely an attraction worth doing and something to build upon for the Forbidden Valley with the new Project Ocean opening in 2025. But let's just have some new mazes, get rid of Daz Games, maybe rework the attic into something else a little bit more original, and maybe just have a bit more effort put into On the Wine Tours, or potentially as well add a new maze onto that, and increase the scare zones. It'd be nice to see another burial grounds, especially along the pathway between X Sector and Adventureland. That is something that's a really wasted space, and I just think the scare zone would do really well there, or maybe even back in Dark Forest around that Tower Square bit with where Hex is. That's something that could be really done, or even maybe just a kids friendly one around the world of David Williams. That would get people going into that area of the park and actually may encourage them to do the Spooks duo part. But in terms of that, there's some good lighting across the scene. Some of the rides were perfectly lit. Obviously Nemesis, Wicker Man looks sensational, Galactica, 13 in the Dark is just a great ride anyway, if you can look past the fact that it's going to be dark anyway because you're going inside for the main bit. Obviously we didn't do any of the entertainment because I really don't think it's our thing. Don't get me wrong, it is perfect for everybody, and it did seem like a very busy bit. The merchandise was great and some of the food options were really nice as well. It's just for me, in the day that we had, we only got there at 12 o'clock. We normally would have gotten there but 10, but due to other commitments that had come up, we'd had to make our journey a little bit later. You know, entertainment for me, it's not that I don't enjoy it, like it would have been fun, but for me, my main experience is to go on the mazes, do the rides that I haven't been on for a few months. That's what I want to do, really. If I was a regular visitor and was going to come back, say, next week or in a few days, then yeah, I'd maybe check out the entertainment. But apart from that, it's just not really for me. It's not really what I want to experience from a Scarefest. But again, that's just my opinion. That's just something that I want to see. Overall, though, I absolutely love the event. It is something that I've been wanting to do for the last 2 years. It's been something that I wanted to really get into and really have a go, especially with the scare mazes. I'm proud to say that I have done them. I'm also happy to say that coming out of this day, I've now done pretty much all the rides at Alton Towers, apart from one of the few in the world of David Williams. Really, that's not massively anything to moan about. It's just like I said, I'd like to see some changes next year. Obviously, we're getting a new flat ride in Forbidden Valley. Just general operations need to be better. I don't want to see stuff like Nemesis Reborn on one train because it is ridiculous how long to wait for it. It's a good ride, but bear in mind, with the time you got a queue for it, you're on your feet for however many hours in a day. That's something that needs to improve. And overall, just a general sense of atmosphere and uplifting the park. You know, don't have this negativity, have a bit of momentum going about you, because you're going to need in 2025. And hopefully we will also find out what is happening with Project Ocean. Project Horizon, seeing what's going to happen there, and give something for the fans to look forward to going into that season there. But I hope you have enjoyed this video. I'm going to wrap it up there. This has been pretty much a look back on Alton Towers in 2024. It was a really enjoyable year for us. We've had a really great time at Alton Towers, and we're hopefully looking forward to 2025 being just as good. So thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed looking back on Alton Towers in 2024, and we'll see you for the next video, whenever that may be. Thank you for watching.